Hello, mighty companion. This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Hardcore, A Course in Miracles, Hardcore. And the topic is going to be, you are never upset for the reason you think. You are never, do you know, you are never, never upset for the reason you think you are upset. And we're going to see what the Course in Miracles teaches about that and how you can use that idea to heal your mind and to help you go beyond any upset. We're going to start out with a little music from Brother John Christmas called Teach Only Love, for that is what you are. That will give us a chance to get centered and to focus in so that we will be able to hear what we're being taught. So I'm so glad to have you here with me. Here we go.
Teach only love, that is what you are. Only love, yes, that is what you are. Teach only love, that is what you are.
You're just love.
Teach only love, everywhere you go. Teach only love, to everyone you know. Teach only love, love is what you are. Hey, yeah, let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Teach only love, teach every day. Teach only love, in your own special way. Teach only love, love is what you are.
Mighty companion, this is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you again to Hardcore Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. And our topic is going to be, you are never upset for the reason you think you are upset. That's what the Course in Miracles says. You are never, when I say never, I mean never upset for the reason you think. And that's going to be lesson 5 in the Course in Miracles workbook. The Course in Miracles is 3 books in 1. Course in Miracles. We're using the blue book, the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. And we're going to be in the Course in Miracles workbook, page 9 in the Course in Miracles workbook. And it's called, I am never upset for the reason I think I'm upset. So if there's anything that you're upset about right now, you are not upset about it for the reason that you think you're upset about it, according to A Course in Miracles. Remember only this: you need not believe the ideas that I am going to share with you from A Course in Miracles. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas that I'm sharing with you from A Course in Miracles. Some of the ideas you may actively resist some of the ideas that I'm sharing with you from A Course in Miracles. Some of the ideas that I share with you, you may find hard to believe. Some of the ideas, you may actively resist some of the ideas that I share from A Course in Miracles. And do you know some of the ideas that I share with you from A Course in Miracles you may find quite startling. Just like me telling you that you're never upset for the reason you think. Let me get this. Let me monitor this while I'm doing it. Okay, so I can see what you are seeing. Okay. Now, you are not being asked to judge these ideas that I'm going to share with you. The Course in Miracles says you are not being asked to analyze the ideas. That actually, analyzing the ideas will actually destroy the meaning of the ideas in A Course in Miracles. So what is it that you need to do? You need to use the ideas that I'm sharing with you from A Course in Miracles, because the Course in Miracles corrects our perception of everything and everybody. It's a perceptual healing technique, because everything that you are feeling is actually coming from your perception of everything and everyone. So the Course in Miracles works first and foremost at the level of your thinking, at the level of the mind, and teaches that it's a miracle if we actually see things correctly and actually see things in a forgiving, loving way. So you're not being asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all according to A Course in Miracles. It's using the ideas that I'm about to share with you. What's going to happen if you use the ideas that I'm about to share with you? If you use the ideas that I'm about to share with you, then that's what's going to give the ideas meaning to you. And that's what's going to show you that the ideas are true, using the ideas. The introduction in the Course in Miracles says, this is a Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles is a required course. Only the time you take a Course in Miracles is voluntary. Do you know that free will doesn't mean that you can establish the curriculum? So what does free will mean? Free will means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So what is it that the Course in Miracles is not trying to do? The Course in Miracles does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, because the meaning of love is beyond what can be taught. But what does the Course in Miracles do? Well, it says the Course in Miracles does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of the presence of love. Do you know that you being aware of the presence of love, do you know that that is your natural inheritance? So what is the opposite? What is the opposite of love? The opposite of love is being afraid. Does that mean whenever you're feeling fear, you're feeling the exact opposite of love? That's exactly right. Whenever you're feeling fear, you are feeling what is the opposite of love. because love is all encompassing. So that means that there is no opposite to love is if the only thing that is real is love. So how do you sum up A Course in Miracles? How can the Course in Miracles be summed up? The Course in Miracles can be summed up very simply, very simply, very simply. The Course in Miracles can be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. If you got a real love with someone, nothing can threaten it. There's no such thing as someone being able to break up a real love, for instance, between two people. Real cannot be threatened. If what you have is real, nothing can threaten it. A Course in Miracles says nothing unreal exists. So if it's not real, it really isn't long lasting. It is really not permanent. And herein lies the peace of God, which is the peace of love. So we're doing lesson 5 in the workbook of A Course in Miracles on page 8. First and foremost, after 43 years of teaching and studying A Course in Miracles, I found that the easiest way to see what's true about the Course in Miracles is through the practical application of the ideas. So my emphasis is on the practical application of the principles of A Course in Miracles, because if you can't apply it, if you can't use something in your perceived everyday life, what use is it? So this is the first thing that I want to ask you to do, is if you have the book and you're able to get to the book and you're able to get to the workbook lesson, go to it, okay? If you're aware you can do that. And I want you to tell yourself what the title of the lesson is, which is, I am never upset for the reason I think. You are never, ever, 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 ever upset about anything or anyone for the reason that you think you are upset with them, according to A Course in Miracles. So let's go through it together and let's apply it. It's so good to have you here. It's so good to be doing this together. This idea, what idea? Because I teach in a question and answer format. This idea, you are never upset for the reason you think, like the preceding idea, this idea that you are never upset for the reason you think, this idea is to be used. This idea is to what idea is to be used, that you're never upset for the reason you think? Who are you to use that idea with? Use that idea with any person. Use the idea that you're never upset for the reason you think with any situation. Use the idea that you're never upset for the reason you think with any event you think is causing you pain. So right now, I want you to think of one person specifically that you think is causing you pain. Do you have their name? They probably came to your mind immediately. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to apply the idea. What idea? That you are never upset with this person for the reason that you think you are upset with this person. The Course says you are to apply this idea specifically to whatever you believe is the cause of your upset. Whatever you believe is the cause of your upset. You are to apply the idea, I am never upset. I am never upset for the reason I think, to whatever you believe is causing you upset. What are you supposed to do? Using the description of the feeling in whatever term seems accurate to you. So let me give you an example. Would you like an example? Okay, well, the Course in Miracles always explains itself as you read forward. I would recommend you not stopping when you're studying A Course in Miracles and then trying to use your interpretation of what it's talking about. When the Course itself explains what it's talking about as you move forward in your reading and application. For instance, the upset that you might be feeling may seem to be fear. The upset that you may be feeling may be worry. The upset that you may be feeling could be depression. Are you feeling depressed about something right now? Are you feeling worried about something right now? Is there something specifically that's causing you fear right now? Do you feel some anxiety about something right now? Are you feeling angry about something specifically right now? Are you feeling hatred? Now notice A Course in Miracles isn't asking us to shy away from these feelings. It's actually specifically dealing with these feelings. You might hate someone right now. You may feel an upset that takes the form of jealousy right now. Have you ever felt jealousy? Are you feeling jealousy about a situation or a circumstance or a person right now? Or any number of forms of upset? And are you perceiving all the different forms of upset as different? In other words, do you believe fear is a different upset from worry, and that worry is different from depression? Do you believe anxiety is different from anger? Do you think anger is different from hatred? Do you think jealousy is different from fear? This is not true. Fear, worry, depression, anxiety, anger, hatred, jealousy, they are not really different. Are you aware that the Course in Miracles says we basically only have two emotions? That we only have two emotions. What are the two emotions? I bet you know. The two emotions that A Course in Miracles says that we have the emotion of love and we have the emotion of fear. And the Course in Miracles says that fear, worry, depression, anxiety, anger, hatred, jealousy, and all forms of what we would call negative emotions are just fear. So until you learn that the form of your upset doesn't matter because it's really just different expressions of fear, until you learn that that's true, then each form of upset that you go through becomes a proper subject for the exercises that we're going to use right now. So what is it that you're supposed to do? You're supposed to apply the same idea to each kind of upset that you have. In other words, I'm never upset for the reason I think would be I'm never afraid for the reason I think. I never worry for the reason I think. You never feel depressed for the reason you think. You never feel anxiety for the reason you think. You never feel anger for the reason you think. You never feel hatred for the reason you think you feel it. So the Course in Miracles is saying what? Apply the same idea to each form of your upset separately. That's the first step. The first step in ultimately recognizing that all forms of upset are the same. Fear. All forms of upset are what? The same. What does that mean? All forms of upset are just different forms of fear. Any upset is a fear. Any upset is a fear. Did I say any upset is a fear? Yeah, that upset that you're having, that worry, that depression, that anxiety, that anger, that hatred, that jealousy, or whatever it is you think is bothering you right now, it's just a form of fear. It's just a form of fear. So what does the next paragraph say? Well, when using the idea for today, so what is the idea for today? Who can tell me? The idea for today is, I am never upset for the reason I think. You are never upset for the reason you think. So what is the next part? The Course in Miracles says, when using the idea for today, which is what? I'm never upset for the reason I think. You are never upset for the reason you think. When using the idea for today for a specific perceived cause of an upset in any form, use both the name of the form of the upset and the cause of the upset. For example, listen, I would say, I am not angry at blank for the reason I think. I'm not angry at what's happening in the political situation in this country for the reason I think. I'm not angry at my mother for the reason I think. I'm not angry at the way that my boss treated me at work today for the reason I think. I'm not angry at my husband for the reason I think. I'm not angry at my wife for the reason I think. You would say, here's another form of upset. You would say, I am not afraid of climate change for the reason I think. I am not afraid of the economy for the reason I think. I am not afraid of what's going on my job for the reason I think. I'm not afraid of my financial situation for the reason I think. Practical application, right? So I'll say it for you. Do you know that you're not angry at, and you know what I'm talking about, for the reason you think? You're not angry at that person that you thought about at the beginning of this for the reason that you think you are angry at that person. And I know that the temptation may be for you to go, okay, if I'm not angry at them for the reason I think, then tell me the reason that I'm angry at them. Don't worry about that right now. Don't focus on that right now. The thing that you should focus on right now is just the idea that you are not angry for the reason that you think you're angry. You should focus on the idea that you are not afraid in that situation or afraid of that person for the reason that you think you are. That's the number one idea that you want to hear me say from A Course in Miracles. So, but again, this shouldn't be substituted for practice periods in which you first search your mind for sources of upset. I think that's hilarious when you really think about it. The Course in Miracles are saying, do what most people do all the time anyway. Think about the things that they're upset about. The average person thinks about the thing that they're upset about, afraid about, worrying about all the time. So the Course in Miracles is saying, okay, then that's just part one of the workbook exercise. This is part one of the exercise. I want you to search your mind, throw your mind up against the wall, so to speak, and search your mind for what's causing your upset that you believe is causing your upset. And I want you to search your mind for the kinds of upset that you think result from what you believe is upsetting you. In other words, let's make it real. What do you think is making you feel afraid right now? What do you think is making you weary or feel depressed or feel anxiety or feel anger or hatred or jealousy or anything that you have, sickness, whatever it is that's upsetting you right now? The Course in Miracles says that I want you to search your mind for the sources of upset that you believe, and also the forms of upset that you think you're going through because of what you believe is upsetting you. Now, do you know that you may find it hard to be indiscriminate? You may find it hard to be indiscriminate. So what does the Course in Miracles mean when it says you might find it hard to be indiscriminate when you're trying to search your mind for the causes of your upset? In other words, it would be hard sometimes for you to avoid giving greater weight to some subjects and people and things that you think are upsetting you than others. Like there are some things you think that upset you more than other things, and there may be some people that you think upset you more than other people. That's what it means when it says it could be hard for you to be indiscriminate. That you're going to say, my mama makes me madder than my brother does, and my boss doesn't make me as mad as my child does. In other words, it's going to be my financial situation is upsetting me more than my health situation. It may be hard for you to avoid, he says, giving greater weight to some subjects than to other subjects. So how do you help? How can this help? Well, let me tell you what might help to proceed the exercises. In other words, you're getting ready to go, okay, I'm not mad at my boss for the reason I think. I'm not afraid for the reason I think. I'm not afraid for the reason I think in this situation that I'm in right now. I'm going through a situation right now that I'm really going through some anger and some depression and some worry. And I'm being told that I'm never upset for the reason I think. You're never upset for the reason you think. You're never upset for the reason you think. You're not upset for the reason you think. You're not worrying for the reason you think. You're not depressed for the reason you think. So what should I tell myself before I do that? Well, what you want to do before you even tell yourself I'm never upset for the reason I think, what you want to do is you want to say to yourself, there are no small upsets. What? There are no little upsets. All upsets are all equally disturbing to your peace of mind. So I need to tell myself, okay, there are no little upsets. There are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. Any upset that I have is equally disturbing to my peace of mind. So let's make that real. Let's go back. Then fear is just as disturbing to my peace of mind as worry, as depression, as anger is just as much a disturbance to my peace of mind as anger and hatred and jealousy. All of my upsets are equally disturbing. All upsets you have are equally disturbing because either you're upset or you're not. Either you're feeling peace or you're not. You're either feeling happy or you're not. So all upsets are equally disturbing to your peace of mind. So you need to start out by telling yourself, there are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing to my peace. There are no small upsets. There are no small upsets. Any upset is disturbing to your peace. Any upset is disturbing to your peace. So you say that first. Then what do you do after you say, there are no small upsets? They're all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. Then you tell yourself that you need to examine. What kind of examination do you need to do? Well, you need to examine what? Examine your mind. What? Examine your mind. Examine your mind for what? Examine your mind for whatever is distressing you. Examine your mind for whatever is distressing you right now. Regardless of how much or how little you think it's distressing you right now. What is it that's distressing you right now? Who is it that is distressing you right now? Examine your mind for who it is that's distressing you right now. Examine your mind for what is distressing you right now. No matter how much you think you are being distressed and in distress, or no matter how little you think you are. in distress? What is it that's distressing you right now? What is it that's causing you to feel upset right now? Do you see how the Course in Miracles is basically asking us to do what we do all day long whenever we are feeling upset about something or afraid about something? I love this curriculum because it just uses what we already do to free us. It's using the things that we think that cause us pain and suffering to actually take us beyond pain and suffering. If I have a lot of distress and I worry and I'm concerned, I'm glad that Spirit can use my worry and distress and concern to move me to a higher level of peace. What is it that you might find yourself less willing to do? What is it that you might find yourself having some resistance? Well, the Course in Miracles says you may find yourself less willing to apply today's idea. What is today's idea? What is today's idea? You are never upset for the reason you think. You may find yourself less willing to apply that idea to some things that are causing you upset than to other things that are causing you upset. You might be glad to say, okay, I'm never upset with my boss for the reason I think, but be less willing to say, I'm never upset with my mate for the reason I think. So that means that there are going to be basically some areas that you're going to be willing to practice this in your life, but there's going to be some areas that you're not going to be as willing. You're going to, oh no, I know the reason why I'm upset over here. I don't know what you understand. I don't agree that I'm never upset for the reason I think when it comes to my finances. Now, I'm willing to say I'm never upset for the reason I think when it comes to my sickness. But I'm not willing to say I'm never upset for the reason I think when it comes to my finances. You see what I'm saying? It's saying some areas you're going to be glad to cooperate with what's being said. And some of the areas in your life, you're not going to want to say this at all. So if you see that in some areas you're willing to apply this idea that you're never upset for the reason you think, but in other areas you're not willing to say, I'm never upset for the reason I think, if this occurs, there's a solution. Would you like to know what the solution is? Well, it says right here, if this occurs, think first of this. So if you find yourself willing to say you're never upset for the reason you think in one situation or with one person, but you're not willing to say, I'm never upset for the reason I think with another person or situation or circumstance, what do you do? What do you do? Well, it says you need to think. What? You need to think. And then you go, well, what is it that I need to think? Now, notice I haven't been analyzing the Course in Miracles at all, right? Have you noticed that what I've been doing is we've been going through this lesson together and making it practical and trying to hear what Holy Spirit is telling us, what Spirit is telling us to do. Your understanding isn't a powerful contribution to the truth. Your understanding does not make the truth true. Whoever told you that your understanding is what makes something true or not, I don't know how to break it to you, but they deceived you. Your understanding is not a powerful contribution to the truth according to A Course in Miracles. But following the instructions are. So what was the instruction? First, you tell yourself, there are no small upsets. All upsets are equally disturbing to my peace of mind. Then the Course in Miracles says, I want you to think about who's upsetting you, what circumstance is causing you some form of upset. And then I want you to tell yourself, if you're not willing to apply this idea that you're never upset for the reason you think, if you're not willing to apply that to every situation, to every circumstance, then he says, well, I'm going to tell you what to do if you have that problem. I want you to say or think this. And then it tells you, I want you to think, I cannot keep this form of upset and let the other forms of upset go. I can't keep my anger. In other words, I can't keep my anger and think I'm going to let my worry go. I can't keep my worry and think I'm going to let my depression go. I can't keep my depression and think I'm going to let anxiety go. I can't keep my anxiety about this situation and think that I'm going to let my anger go. I can't keep my hatred and think I'm going to let my jealousy go. In other words, just what the Course in Miracles just said. I cannot keep one form of upset and let the other forms of upset go. I can't keep my hatred and think I'm going to let my fear go. I can't keep my jealousy and think I'm going to let my depression go. You cannot keep this form of upset and then think you're going to let the other forms of upset go. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Well, it says, for the purposes of these exercises, then what are you going to do? You're going to start regarding all forms of upset as just the same upset. You're going to start regarding all forms of upset as the same. All forms, kinds of upset are forms of fear. If I can't let go of one and keep the other, or keep one and let go of the other, what do? You start saying, I'm just feeling afraid. I know it looks like I'm angry, but I'm feeling afraid. I know it seems like I'm depressed about this, but I'm really feeling afraid about this. I know it looks like I'm feeling anxiety about this situation that I'm dealing with, but it's just another form that my fear and sense of separation from God and love is taking. It's just another form of feeling separate. It's just another form of feeling separate. So if you find yourself less willing to apply this lesson, I am never upset for the reason I think. If you find yourself unwilling to apply that to some people, some circumstances, and some situations other than others, what do? You tell yourself, I can't keep this anger, this form of upset, and let the rest of the upsets go. I can't keep this kind of upset and let the rest of my upsets go. So I'm going to start regarding all of my upset, all of my worries, all of my anxieties as the same thing. So then you search your mind, and you search your mind again, but you don't search your mind for more than a minute. So while you're searching your mind, what are you going to do? It says, well, I want you to try to do what? Identify a number of different forms of upset that are disturbing you. But have you noticed that's exactly what the average person does all day? I don't know about you, but during the day, there's a part of me that's always focusing in on what I wish was different, or who is somehow letting me down, or how I feel that somebody else or some circumstance or situation needs to be different in some way. Don't you do that? If you would be honest with yourself, wouldn't you say you do that? Well, the Course in Miracles says, I want you to do that. I want you to examine it. I want you to think about what's causing your upset. It says it right here. Try to identify a number of different forms of upset. Try to identify a number of different forms, what you could say, different kinds of upset that are disturbing you. Regardless of the relative importance you may give them, think about what's upsetting you. Think about what's upsetting you. It's okay. Examine your mind for what's making you unhappy. Examine your mind for what you think you wish were different. Examine your mind for who you think were different. Examine your mind for the situation or the circumstance that you wish was different. And you know exactly who I'm talking about right now. Oh, you know. You know exactly the situation that you're using to keep you unhappy or upset or angry. You know. So what should you do? Apply the idea for today. What is the idea for today? The idea is you are never upset, you're never afraid, you're never worried for the reason that you think you are afraid or upset or worried. Apply the idea for today to each of the things that's upsetting you, or to each person that you think is upsetting you, or to each circumstance that you think is upsetting you. So what should you do? He says, well, use the name of both the source of the upset. For example, I can go, my son, let's say as an example, it was my son. I would say, well, the way that my son is treating me in some way is a source of my upset as I perceive my upset. And then what kind of feeling is it giving me? It's giving me a feeling of anxiety. It's giving me a feeling of guilt. It's giving me a feeling of depression. So you would say it, I feel like my relationship with my son is causing me guilt. Or I feel like the relationship with my partner is causing me guilt. So the partner is the source, and the feeling that you're feeling is the feeling that you're experiencing. So the Course in Miracles says what? It says what? What does the Course in Miracles say? It says use both the source of the upset, what you think is causing your upset, And also, I want you to use the feeling as you are experiencing the feeling. So remember now, that means the Course in Miracles isn't asking you to try to be positive. It's not asking you to be in denial about any of your feelings that you're having. As a matter of fact, don't you see that the Course in Miracles is actually asking you to examine the feeling, to bring the feeling up, to acknowledge the feeling? The Course in Miracles isn't telling you it's just an illusion, so I'm not going to even acknowledge the fact that I feel hatred or jealousy or anxiety or fear and depression, because that's just an illusion. And if it's just an illusion, then I'm just going to be making it real if I really admit that I want to run over 2 or 3 people with a car. That's just going to be making it real. So I'm going to be a really enlightened person, and I'm going to pretend I just love everybody. I love everybody. I am totally light. The Course in Miracles isn't asking you to do that. The Course in Miracles is saying, I want you to name what you think is causing you upset. I want you to say to yourself the feeling that you are having as you are experiencing it. Does it give you further examples? Yes, the Course in Miracles gives you further examples. It says, you could say, I am not worried for the reason I think. I am not worried. And I'm going to give you some examples. Make it practical. I am not worried about my body for the reason I think. I'm not worried about my financial situation for the reason I think I'm worried about my financial situation. I say it for you. You're not worried about the body for the reason that you think you're worried about your body. You're not worried about your financial situation for the reason that you think you're worried about your financial situation. You're not worried about your thinking and your thoughts for the reason you think you might be worried about your thinking and your thoughts. You're not worried about your domestic situation and your home life for the reason that you think you're worried about your domestic situation in your home life. You're not worried about your love life. You're not for the reason you think you're worried about your love life and your romantic life. You're not worried about your health for the reason that you think you are worried about your health. Or you could say, you are not depressed. I'm going to tell you right now, you are not depressed about your relationship for the reason you think you're depressed about your relationship. You're not worried. You're not depressed about your sex life and your finances of your partner and your friends for the reason that you think. You're not worried about your relationship to God and your higher mind and travel and long distance experiences for the reason that you think. You're not depressed about your career or what's happening on your job for the reason that you think. You are not worried and depressed about your friends and your friendships for the reason that you think. You're not even worried about the things you feel ashamed about, that you think is that you're hiding, that no one else knows about for the reason you think. Do you notice that the Course in Miracles, is not asking you to do anything that you couldn't do right now? There's not one thing I've shared with you that you could not do right now if you really wanted to. I know one of the things that the Course in Miracles taught me when I was studying it is that whenever higher self, higher power, Holy Spirit ask you to do something, that it would be something that you were willing, able, and adequate to do. And I thought that was such a wise thing, right? Think about that again. If God asks you to do something, if your higher self, your greater self, your expanded self asks you to do something, wouldn't it make sense that the higher power, if it really wanted to get something done by you, that it would ask you to do something you were able to do and adequate to do right now? That it wouldn't be something that you don't have the resources, the ability, or able to do right now? So one thing I would ask you to start paying more attention to is how many answers you receive from within that are solutions that always entail you to do something different outside yourself that you are not able to do right now. that is asking for money you don't have right now, or asking you to be somewhere that you can't be right now, so that you have to try to plan for it in the future, or go out and try to get that resource. That doesn't sound like something a wise creator would ask you to do, does it? Doesn't it seem like a wise creator would say, I'm going to ask you to do something that you are able to do right now, that you'd be willing to do right now, and that you'd be adequate to do right now? Because that would be something you could do right now. So that's what a smart God would do, I would think. So everything that the Course in Miracles has told us to do, we could do it right now. And the Course says 3 or 4 times during the day is enough. It's not even asking you to do this but 3 or 4 times during the day. But the truth is, what if you were to say, I'm never upset for the reason I think, every time you were feeling upset? Think about how many times a day you would be saying that. And the mere fact that you're being told that you're not worried and depressed and jealous and angry in this situation or with this person for the reason you think, wouldn't that kind of give you a pause for, in a way? Go, oh, okay, if I'm not mad at my partner for the reason I think, I'm never mad at my partner for the reason I think? Wow. See what I'm saying? Just saying that, couldn't that give you a pause? Couldn't it give you an opportunity to go, my goodness, right. And isn't this a very practical application? So I'm going to do a recap of exactly what we're supposed to do so that we can use this, okay? I'm a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles. I do it on a donation basis. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, you can use Venmo, the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. And all you need is my email address. And my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. That's Purdy, P-U-R-D-Y. And you can also go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com. I'm also available for what I call one-on-one clarity sessions, one-on-one sessions with me, so I can even more show you how to use these solutions to what you think you're going through in order to give you peace and to see a miracle in that situation. Do you know that the Course in Miracles is really saying when you do the things that it's asking you to do, it's really a symbolic gesture to show Spirit that you're willing to have Spirit heal the situation, that God is the healer, Holy Spirit is the healer, higher power is really the healer. But when you do what you're being asked to do, it will give you more peace of mind, allow you to hear your guidance better, and also allow Spirit to operate more in your life in an obvious way. So if you want to have a one-on-one session, or I'm also available for coaching and mentoring. I've studied and learned the Course in Miracles, like I said, for over 40 years. So I'm here to be helpful. I'm here to be truly helpful to those who resonate to me and would like to work with me. I'm also an astrologer and a numerologist. That was how I got on my spiritual practice, got on my spiritual path to begin with. So I'm also available to people who are interested in getting that form of support and insight. I'm here only to be helpful. On Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page, I do another Facebook Live on A Course in Miracles. Sundays, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. If you're in the Denver, Colorado area, in Denver, you can attend the class in person, and it's at 1555 Race Street, R-A-C-E, 1555 Race Street, here in Denver, Colorado. I'd love to see you in person if you feel like joining, but it's also online. But on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook, we have this presentation, but it's only online, Hardcore Course in Miracles, Hardcore Course in Miracles. I upload all of my classes to YouTube, so you can see all of my classes on YouTube. And that's really great for people who are not on Facebook, but you feel like they would really benefit, or you would benefit, because I have hundreds of classes on Facebook, on YouTube and on Facebook. Again, I'm only here to be truly helpful. We've got to change our mind, the one mind that we share together. And that's what I'm here for. Because I want to know you as I know myself, because you are myself. We are just one self. There is just one self, united with its creator. That's us. We appear to be many, but we are one. So let's do, so again, I'm on YouTube, and please share my videos. Please, would you share my videos? Thank you. So let's go back. Do you have that person? Do you have that situation? Okay, you got it. So what was it that we were told? And thank you for coming and watching live, even though you could watch the replay later. Thank you. And don't forget to watch this at least 4 times, or to listen to it at least 4 times, because it's through the repetition. The Course in Miracles teaches that it's through repetition that you accept new ideas, not through analyzing and not through believing that you have to understand everything before it can work, right? So here we go. Do you have the person? Do you have the situation? Do you have the event that you think is causing you pain? Well, whatever's causing your upset, and remember, we were told that the upset can be worry, fear, depression, anger, anxiety, hatred, jealousy, sickness, lack. They seem like they're different things, but what did the Course tell us? Well, they told us, well, the truth is all of your forms of upset are just one thing: fear, a sense of separation. But as long as you think you have all these different emotions and feelings, then it says, what should you do? Well, it says, well, you should apply. You are never upset for the reason you think. You should apply it to each individual thing that you think you're upset about. You're not angry for the reason that you think. I know you think you're angry for the reason that you think, and we're going to get into even more why you're really angry. So don't forget, as we go through these lessons, you'll get it. You'll understand what the real reason why you're upset. But the first thing to getting rid of upset is telling yourself you're not upset for the reason you think you're upset. You're not upset for the reason you think you're upset. You're not upset for the reason you think you're upset. And it's okay for you to focus on what you're upset about, because that's part one. And I know the Course says, I know you're going to think that some things are more upsetting to you than other things. So that's why you need to tell yourself that there are no little upsets. There are no small upsets. There are no small upsets. There are no small upsets. You're upset. So all 4 upsets are equally disturbing. Equally disturbing to what? Your peace of mind. So this upset that you're experiencing right now, it's equal to any other thing you think you're upset about right now, because they all disturb your peace of mind. So what should you tell yourself? What should you tell yourself? You should tell yourself, I cannot keep this form of upset. I cannot keep this form of upset. You cannot keep this form of upset and let the other forms of upset go. You can't keep your anger and think you're going to let your depression go. You can't keep your depression and think you're going to have your anxiety go. You can't keep the depression and think that you're going to let the other forms of your upset go. So what do you do? What do you do? I'm going to tell you what you do, what you do. I'm going to tell you what to do. Tell yourself what? I'm going to regard all of my upsets as the same. All of my upsets are the same. All of my upsets are the same. All of your upsets are the same upset. All of your upsets are the same upset. It's just fear, fear, fear. So you cannot keep one kind of upset and let the rest of the upsets go. So what do? For the purpose of these exercises, you say, I'm going to regard them all as the same. So what else should you do? Search your mind. It's okay. It's okay for you to come up with all the things you think are bothering you. It's okay if you come up with all the different things you think are bothering you, regardless of the relative importance that you may give the things that you think or the person that you think is upsetting you. So what do? You apply this idea. What idea? I'm never upset. I'm never angry. I'm never worried. I'm never jealous. I'm never frustrated for the reason I think. You're never angry for the reason you think. You're never worried for the reason you think. You're not worried for the reason you think. You're not worried for the reason you think. So tell yourself, I'm not worried for the reason I think. You're not depressed. I know what you think. I know you think you're depressed for the reason you think you're depressed, but you're not depressed for the reason you think. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? You say, I'm never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. You are never upset for the, let's do it. Let's do it. You ready? You ready? Let's do it. Let's do it. I am never upset for the reason I think I am upset. You are not upset in this situation that you're in for the reason that you think you are upset with that. You are not upset with that person. You are not upset with this person for the reason that you think you are upset with this person. Tell yourself, I am not upset for the reason I think. I'm not upset for the reason I think. I'm not upset for the reason I think. You are not upset for the reason you think. There are no small upsets. There are no little upsets. All of your upsets are equally disturbing to your peace of mind. All your upsets are equally disturbing to your peace of mind. So it doesn't matter what kind of upset you're feeling. It doesn't matter, but while you do think they are different, then you apply the truth. You apply this idea to each separate upset, as long as you think that upsets are separate. Would you be willing to try this? Would you be willing to do this if it's going to ultimately give you the kind of peace that you want to have? Mighty Companion. This is Earl Purdy, and we're going to take 2 minutes, and I want you to let me say this for you, and then you say it to yourself, but I want you to just hear it. So just take a breath. Just take a breath. If you're aware, you can just let yourself hear it. Listen. Listen, you ready? Here we go. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think you are upset. You're never afraid for the reason you think. You are never worrying for the reason you think. You are not depressed for the reason you think. You are not feeling anxiety for the reason you think. You are not feeling anger for the reason you think. You are not feeling hatred for the reason you think. You are not feeling sickness for the reason you think. You're not even feeling happy for the reason you think. My mighty companion, you are awesome, and I appreciate you so much. We are doing this together. We are mighty companions. That's what we are. So let's take a few seconds together. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are not upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason that you think you are. You are never upset for the reason that you think you are. You are never upset for the reason that you think you are. You are not feeling jealousy for the reason that you think you are. You're not feeling depressed for the reason that you think you are. There are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing to your peace of mind. You can't keep one form of upset and let the others go. You are never, ever, 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 ever upset with them for the reason that you think you are. You're not upset with this person for the reason that you think you are. You're never upset with the person for the reason that you think you are upset with this person. You know the person. You are not upset with the person for the reason you think you are upset. Mighty companion. This is Earl Purdy. So don't feel guilty if you find yourself thinking about stuff that you are upset about and worried about, because that's part of your workbook lesson. You're just doing part 1 of what the Course in Miracles tells you to do. Isn't that great? You're a great Course in Miracles student. If you're feeling fear, worry, depression, anxiety, worry, hatred, jealousy, and fear, and up the hell, you're doing what you're being told to do. So when you feel those things, just don't forget to do part 2. And what is part 2? Part 2 is for you to say, I'm never upset for the reason I think. I can't wait to listen back to this. May the Course be with you. See you next time.